As you may know, the 9th generation of Pokemon has officially been released, and that means a new game to Nuzlocke. So here we are, with my attempt at a Pokemon Scarlet Nuzlocke. I'll be playing with standard hardcore Nuzlocke rules on screen now and in the description. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We start by naming ourselves and customizing the character we will be playing as. So I make it the most depressed looking character possible since, you know, this is a Nuzlocke. Then we meet the director of the academy we will be attending. He gives us the choice between Fuecoco, Quaxly, and Sprigatito. Fire types are not super common in this game when in comparison with water and grass, so we take Fuecoco and name him Natsu. And I mean, just look at the little guy. He's so adorable. How could you say no to his face? By the way, all the Pokemon in this Nuzlocke will be nicknamed with a theme in mind, so let me know in the comments if you figure it out. Nemona, being the battlemonger that she is, immediately challenges us to a fight. Unluckily for her though, she picked the Weed Cat and we won in 2 turns. She tries to get the run back almost immediately, but Clavel prevents her from doing so. In Paco Path, Nemona wants to teach us how to catch Pokemon, and we are forced to encounter Alzak the Lechonk, which is a very interesting thing for this game's Nuzlocke. Every Paco Path encounter will be Lechonk, since you are forced to catch it for the catching tutorial. Just something I thought was really interesting. We then proceed to fall off a cliff before finding a very weird looking Pokemon on the beach. After feeding it a sandwich, we follow him into a cave. Inside the Inlet Grove, we are actually able to catch a new Pokemon. In order to choose my encounters in this run, I'll be putting 8 to 10 Pokemon that are on the route on a wheel. Then whatever I get from spinning the wheel is my encounter. Here we can only catch Yungoos and Diglett, so it's a 50-50. We roll Yungoos, catch it, and name him Ichia. We then watch a very epic cutscene where Koraidon scares off Houndoom and we are safe. Upon leaving the cave, Mr. Mommy Issues here decides we must battle him to prove our worthiness. He only has a Squovit though, so I don't know what he thought he was going to be able to do. South Province 1 offers us Pisces the Azuro, whomst we promptly add to the team. Before being allowed into the next town, Nemona ambushes us once again. But it's only the second rival fight of the game. There's no way we could lose anything here, right? Fuecoco knocks out the Sprigatito, no problem, but then Nemona decides to, cheat by putting a light bulb on Palmy's head and almost completely wipes our team. Everyone had to chip in on this one. Ichia did some damage with Payback, Pisces got some damage with Bubble Beam, and Alzak, who just kinda died as a sacrifice. The only survivor of this battle is Natsu with the greatest amount of plot armor I have ever seen. Natsu ends up finishing off the Palmy, but not without forgetting the possible friends we will never get to know. We then go through a bunch of story nonsense before being allowed to proceed in the game. In this Nuzlocke run, I'll be going for all 18 of the badges before going into the League Challenge, so routing is very important for this run. First off is Katie, who we collect a couple of new Pokemon along the way to. We play her funny little Olive game before battling her, though since we chose the Fire type starter, you can kinda guess how this one went. Nimble and Tarantula are very easy kills for Natsu, though she then sends in a Teddy Ursa, which is very strange since that's not a bug type. Maybe this will be able to prove of more of a challenge. Well, Katie, I don't think that was the right play, but you tried. Gym Badge 1, down. Well, with that out of the way, we head towards Gym 2. Along the way, we run into this overgrown crab that, with the help of Ward the Hoppip, goes down with little problems. Some reason the AI controlling the Titan Pokemon goes after Arvins very frequently despite our weakness to his rock moves. I mean, I'll take it, it makes my life easier, I just don't understand it. After the battle, we feed our pet dog a sandwich and he learns how to run really fast. In Artisan, we are required to play a quick game of hide and seek before being allowed to challenge the gym. This gym is a grass type gym, and allow me to remind you, we picked the fire starter. Fuecoco does end up evolving right before the gym, so we are quite prepared to take on the man who totally doesn't have a weed basement. Brassius. We do use some other Pokemon just so that we can keep Natsu healthy. Our Tarantula is the lead in order to deal with Petalil swiftly without being able to be put to sleep thanks to insomnia. And then he is able to weaken the Smoliv soon after. Natsu finishes off the Smoliv and then he brings out Sudowoodo, who isn't a grass type. Very strange. I mean, we'll go for Incinerate anyways, it's our strongest move, but Brassius, you fool. You incompetent human. How could you... Well, he still lost. It doesn't matter that we were dead to a crit there. We won, and that's all that matters. Next up is another Titan on top of the mountain, Bombardier. Lucky for us, we pick up Loxus Tapami earlier, who evolves at level 18 into Palmo, but then we watch him do some zoomies before finishing his name and becoming a Palmot. We put a light bulb on his head and took out the Bombardier with no problem since we're just an electric type. Feeding our dog another sandwich allows us to unlock the ability to swim. Next in line, thanks to level caps, is the Team Star base for Giacomo, who is a dark type trainer. And Palmot is now a fighting type, who is ready to rumble. He leads with the absolute worst choice of Poniard, who will not go back to see his family. Now, we are against the boss, Segan Starmobile, which I'm gonna say now, these Starmobile bosses are insane. They're so bulky and can output so much damage with their signature moves. If I do a future run of this game, I might just not do these and only focus on the Victory Road route. Due to Intimidate from it, Palma is crippled, so we bring in Arana to helpfully get off some good damage. She ends up getting weakened down and we try to use Yajima to finish it off, but it is unfortunately not bulky enough and goes down. After many switches and multiple turns of chip from many party members, we get out with only one death. After the battle, we get some backstory on how Giacomo didn't want to become power hungry, blah blah blah, let's move on. Before the next gym in our path, Nemona surprises us with another battle. I feel chills go down our spine as I remember the previous battle that ensued. I shake off all those bad vibes though and just go for it. Though I immediately realize I made a mistake since I led with Arana. I Silk Trap just to scout out the moves and ultimately decide to swap in Loxus. Loxus is able to take out both the Rockruff and Palmy that follow. She terrestrials her Florigato, but this time we also have that power and show her what we have learned. And she shows us that she has no idea what she is doing. She uses Magical Leaf, a special move that never misses after raising her physical attack and accuracy. How did I almost lose to this chick? Gym 3 is the Electric Gym, who ironically enough gets pretty invalidated by Palmot's entire existence. Having Volt Absorb gives us an amazing switch for almost any situation. Poniard weakens the Watch Roll so that Loxus can finish it, and then Belly Bolt and Luxio are both murdered with Dig. Finally, she brings in her Miss Magus, which isn't an electric type, but whatever she wants. After terrestrializing, this thing has 0 weaknesses, which might seem like a little bit of a problem, but that's where you would be wrong, beloved viewer. You see, Miss Magus only has 3 moves, only 2 of which deal damage. So if we were to say, set up Leech Seed with Deerling, then completely abuse the AI through continuous switching between Deerling and Palmot, Pokemon that are immune to her 2 moves, this battle would look a whole lot easier, don't you think? This is exactly what I end up doing, and after a couple minutes of swapping and taking no damage, Miss Magus goes down with 0 deaths to this gym. If you found this very exciting strategy interesting, listen to Iono's very pogger suggestion. Please? I mean, look at this graph. That's just a shame. At least think about it, okay? I was kind of afraid going into our next challenge, Mel, the fire type leader, because, well, we might have a slight weakness to fire, but nothing that a quick stroke of luck can't fix. My strategy originally was to set up Rain Dance on the first turn with a Damperonk user in order to invalidate Torkoal's Drought and hopefully the Starmobile as well. The game decided though that it had greater plans for me. It immediately set it up an Eternal Rain for me at the start of the battle, not only giving us a damage boost, but reducing her damage and preventing Drought from being activated. The Rain does end up going away while we're against the Starmobile, but we're able to do enough damage with Dive just to absolutely demolish this Vroom Vroom. We then have another Titan to fight that I wasn't recording until partway through. At this point, I have learned that moves that drain health are really powerful for these fights. So we set up a Leech Seed and our Gyarados came nowhere near dying in this fight. I mean, it does kind of help that he was hard focusing the Toad School, but we don't have to mention that part. We then go towards the next gym after returning the old man's wallet and winning an auction. Along the way, we are able to pick up a few encounters that might help, but also some that won't. We build up a pretty solid team, I feel, and challenge Kofu. Deerling is almost killed by Pluck, but sets up Leech Seed in the process. I bring out our new team member, Yuri, in order to tank the incoming Pluck on the switch end. Because of the healing from Leech Seed, we are able to kill Veluza and switch out with Volt Switch. Wugtrio is much stronger than anticipated though, and almost takes out Warrid before we complete our setup. Kofu then proceeds to have the greatest luck in the world, and gets a 1-turn sleep as well as the flinch on Headbutt, preventing us from setting up Sunny Day. We are then left against a big bad water terrestrial crab with Crab Hammer. I know we stand no chance without paralysis on this thing, so we send off Loxus while getting the paralysis with Nuzzle. An unfortunate death, but a necessary feeling sacrifice. Mercphobia is then able to take out the Crab Omnivore pretty easily. Looking back, I probably could have been able to get out of that with 0 deaths, but I wanted to ensure that we would win, and getting paralysis seemed like the most consistent win condition I had. Along the way to the next gym, we pick up multiple new encounters as well as lose some. We pick up what will probably become the most obnoxious Pokemon we will have on the team, Bixlow the Toedscruel. Getting eventual access to Spore, Giga Drain, Toxic Spikes, and Spikes makes this a pretty solid setup mon for the first few turns as long as nothing unfortunate happens. Against Atticus, I very quickly learned that I made a mistake as he relies on a lot of poison gimmicks and I did not prepare for this. Bixlow takes some damage before I bring out Pawniard since the Skunk Tank can't hurt him unless I mess up, which I do, and I'm not going to go over this entire fight because it was quite long and very boring. The quick version is that Gyarados takes out the Revavroom, Muck takes out Abby the Persian before dropping dead to Jura, then the Starmobile proceeds to take out Yuri and Jura before going down. This was probably one of the most annoying fights in the game. The stupid car just dealt way too much damage, my Pokemon were all poison, and he just wouldn't die. Definitely not doing Team Star in a future Nuzlocke. Okay, I'm calm. The bad car can't hurt me anymore. I swear, this is the last time I'll rant about Team Star in this video. The next gym, run by Larry the Businessman, shows us a very tricky puzzle that requires the highest of IQs to even attempt, let alone triumph. His lead Komala proved to be very tricky as he could not be put to sleep, but we figured out another strategy to handle this situation. The Dunsparce switches in afterwards, and since I know it wants to go for Drill Run, I take the opportunity to bring in Gyarados. We get a low damage roll on Waterfall and are unable to kill after one turn, leaving us paralyzed and on low health against the Raptor. I do have a plan though, and that plan is quite simple. Greedent. With the move counter, Greedent can deal back double the damage dealt to us numerically, and since Greedent has very high health and the ability to heal to full thanks to the ability Cheek Pouch, a single counter is able to do massive damage and allows Natsu to swap in safely and get the kill. A 0 death Larry we are feeling quite nice coming out of. The moment we exit the gym though, the battle maniac Nemona decides to square up, which is not great considering we just got out of a gym and need to heal. Surely they will heal me though, right? Oh thank god, Lee Primera heals us up. For this battle, we do our very fun and interactive setup with Toedscruel before swapping to Pawniard to finish off Lycanroc. Then I send out Skeletors, who has one of the most insane moves in this game, Torch Song. This is a base 80 power move that raises the special attack upon use, a move basically made for sweeping teams. So yeah, we sweep Nemona's team. I mean, what else did you expect? I just told you what the move does. So much for her being a champion that we once feared. We now have a funny little alligator. During the next gym's trial, we run into Moist Critical, who wants us to put on a show. We do as he asks, and we are allowed to fight in the next gym. And I won't lie to you, this was quite an easy gym. Being able to spore one side of the field with Toedscruel while Honchkrow gets an essentially guaranteed crit is pretty strong. I start out by putting Mimikyu to sleep since it will take multiple turns to kill anyways, and take out the Banette in the process. Houndstone's faster, so it does some pretty decent damage to Honchkrow, but we go ahead and put it to sleep while taking out the Mimikyu. Rhyme then summons the souls of multiple dogs while we watch a little dance. Since I know Toxtricity will Terrassel to Ghost type, I use Sucker Punch on it for the crit one-shot. This leaves us against Houndstone, who we finish off easily. Our next challenge is the Titan known as Great Tusk, who we defeat with Toedscruel, who we do almost lose in the process, but it's fine, we're fine. My heart rate definitely didn't just reach an all-time high. No, of course not. The next gym in our path is Tulip Psychic Gym, but it is on top of a mountain and we have not unlocked the ability to climb. At the time of recording this footage, I did not know that you could simply jump backwards up walls to go up mountains without climb, so that means that we had to go fight the final Titan, that is level 55, without making our Pokemon a higher level than the level cap for Tulip, which would be a big problem if I didn't have plenty of grass types sitting in the box that I won't need for a while. We simply grind up Sawsbuck and Serena, who easily destroyed the Sushi Titan before we are back on track. As I attempt to challenge the next gym, Battlemonger Goku challenges us again. We do the fun setup with Toadstool before taking out Lycanroc. Surprisingly, beat up Weavile does pretty well against Nemona, taking out 2 of her Pokemon. Toadstool comes back out to finish off the Palmot, and we are finally brought to her Meowscarada. It is kinda scary just because guaranteed crits are pretty strong, but after enough time switching around, we take it out. We are then able to go to the gym with possibly the most boring puzzle possible. After spending way too much time on that, Tulip is ready to battle. We lead with our typical Toedscruel strat before beginning what I would like to call the Freed Skip. You might be wondering what that might entail, and I'm here to show you. It is this very high-tech maneuver where I press Sucker Punch. That's it. Looking back at this fight, I don't know how I could have possibly lost. We got so many Dark-type Pokemon this run, and even if this didn't work out, I had plenty of other strategies available in my party. I mean, we were in crit range for Moonblast there at the end, but it doesn't matter. Poison damage finishes the fight with 0 deaths. The next gym is one I have anticipated to be a very easy one, the Ice-type gym. Before being allowed to fight Grusha, we must complete a tricky puzzle of playing a Mario and Sonic Olympic sports minigame before we are seen as worthy. We watch the little boy do a dance and are able to fight Grusha. As far as strategy goes, well, and that's all we really needed. Next up, we have to fight the little Twink Ortega and his Fairy Mobile. Probably the most unfortunate part about this fight is that the level cap is 1 level below Pawniard's evolution level. But it's fine, I'm not salty. The main plan here is to set up with Toedscruel, then use Grafai's signature move to steal Azumarill's huge power ability and sweep from there. Unfortunately, the setup does not go as planned, as Grafai ends up taking a charm to the face, which essentially negates the ability swap. We still take it out, but we're in not as great of a position as we could have been. My backup plan is to use Stockpile Greedent and just become way too bulky to kill. The setup goes very well against Wigglytuff, but then Dash Boon is sent out and we almost die to a crit. Then Goshiel ends up dying because I underestimated this dog's speed stat. From here though, Mercphobia is able to finish out the Dash Boon, and the Starmobile is able to be dealt with by Skeletor spamming Torch Song. This leaves one of the 18 badges left to go before the Elite Four, and that is from Team Stars fighting Captain Airy. Our Toedscruel gimmick gets shut down pretty hard by Toxicroak as he poisons us on turn 1. From there though, we bring back out the tried and true method of using Skeletors, which I'm going to explain to you why this Pokemon is truly insane while this battle plays in the background. So it has some pretty nice bulk in its stats naturally and a pretty good special attacking stat, but then his signature move comes in and completely blows his potential out of the water. I mentioned the move earlier, but it's still just insane to me. Raising the special attack every time and being a base power of 80 makes this stronger than Flamethrower at +0, which means that it is going to be a better option 99% of the time. Though Skeletors does have one apparent low point, being his lack of speed. However, thanks to the many ways you can adjust the Pokemon stats in this game through mints, EV boosting items, bottle caps, and the Sacred Choice Scarf, which are all available pretty early on, this allows for Skeletors to completely negate that one weakness and turn him into a sweeping machine, as you can see on screen. He goes through almost the entire team, but barely misses the kill on the Starmobile because of how bulky it is. We are in range for a crit horsepower to kill, and the car is one of the few things faster than a beefed up Skeletor, so I just let Gyarados finish it off. Now, with badge 18, we can finally challenge the Elite Four. I do a pretty big amount of grinding beforehand, as I pull every single Pokemon we have in the box up to our level cap of 62, so that we can play a little more recklessly in these battles. And since you can change your team in between battles, after a very lengthy interview with Rika where we tell her everything she wants to know, we are able to challenge her. Against her ground types, we lead Go-Go. The Whiscash does have Blizzard, but after healing from Leech Seed and leftovers, we are completely safe to just bulk up in its face, which we do until we are +4. From there, we just Terrestrial Grass and spam Horn Leech. Her Donphan is able to live a hit thanks to Sturdy, but doesn't deal too much damage in return, and thanks to that, everyone else is a clean one-shot, including her Clodsire, who she terrestrialed to be weak against me. Next, we have the meanest, scariest, most feared member of the Elite Four, Poppy, the Steel-type user. Much like myself, Poppy seems to be a fan of entry hazards by setting up Stealth Rocks as we set up Spikes and Spore the Caporaja. We then start our classic Skeletor sweep strat, except we do save our Terrestrial until later since we are low on health just in case. We don't end up needing it though, since Skeletor's is able to outspeed and one-shot everything left on Poppy's team. We are then reintroduced to my boy Larry as the Flying type Elite 4 member. We bring in some fresh blood to begin the match, Toby the Lycanroc, who, as you can probably guess, has Stealth Rocks. His Tropius is kinda scary, but I'm confident enough in my ability to live a Solar Beam, so we end up roaring to get it off the stage and forcing in his ace Pokemon. I did make a mistake in thinking I could outspeed, so I tried to roar but ended up dying in the process. That's okay though, since that gives us a safe switch into Mercphobia, and Toby kind of served his purpose anyways. We set up a Dragon Dance on the first turn, since I know a single Ice Fang can't kill from this range. On the next turn though, it does end up one-shotting Flamigo. We unfortunately have a low roll on the Ice Fang against Staraptor and end up dying. That's a pretty big loss since Gyarados is such an amazing Pokemon, but we have plenty of good backup mons that we should be able to do fine. Our Tyranitar then proceeds to sweep against the remainder of Larry's team. This leaves us against Hassel and his dragons. Our Toedscruel does his dance before we swap into Elfman. We immediately miss Stone Edge, which results in Super Fang dealing massive damage to us. Afterwards though, we do land it, but not without that damage already being dealt. Against Dragalge, we pivot into Goodra to take it out. Flapple is another easy one-shot from Goodra as well. I then proceed to be one-shot myself due to underestimating how fast Haxorus is. We Terra Ground our Tyranitar to finish off Haxorus and attempt to do that against Excalibur, but die because Earthquake barely put a dent on it. Skeletor's finishes it off, but it sucks that we lost two pretty strong Pokemon in this battle. And just like that, we face La Primera. Its Pathra could be scary due to Lumina Crash lowering special defense, but we allow Toedscruel to set up against her. After that setup, we bring in Honchkrow, which is able to one-shot its Pathra. Kingambit is next, and Frieza has no chance against it, so we bring in Medicham. I stare at that high jump kick button for a while, afraid of what may happen, but it landed, so we're fine in this timeline. We then bring in the sweeper I brought for fun, Greedent. I know what you're thinking, how can Greedent sweep? Well, allow me to enlighten you, dear viewer. Stockpile allows us to raise our defenses to +3. Then we're able to use its signature move Stuffed Cheeks to eat our berry early and raise our physical defense by 2 stages. This gives us +5 to our defense and a very powerful body press. Unless we get crit, at least, she can't deal much damage, and we can deal a good amount in return. This allows us to take out the Go-Go, Avalugg, Veluza, and finally her Rock-type Glamora, which she chose to make weak to body press. And there we have it. We have obtained the title of champion. But there is still one more battle left until this path is truly complete. And that is the battle against the battle junkie herself, Nemona. We put together our final team and head to Mesagosa for our battle. We see her sitting there, waiting for us. And remember all the battles that have preceded this one. With a newfound fire, we start with the same toxic strategy as always. Toedscruel setting up hazards. This time though, he gets a little bit of blood on his hands. Toedscruel has served his purpose for this run, so we sacrifice him for the safe switch in. We do make a little mistake which costs us Freed, but we can forget about that as Medicham is able to take out the Goodra. She then chooses Palmont for whatever reason, which allows us to one-shot it with Zen Headbutt. I try to keep Mavis healthy with Recover and just abuse the Poison Stall, but this fails as he does too much damage with Hyper Drill for this to be a reliable strategy. We then bring out Skeletors to take out the remainder of Nemona's team, since what she has in the back is still weak to fire, being Orthworm as well as her starter Meowscarada. And just like that, we have completed the Pokemon Violet Hardcore Nuzlocke. Nemona, recognizing our accomplishment, congratulates us, before immediately attempting to get the run back. This run was pretty easy, all things considered. Skeletors is a very strong Pokemon for this Nuzlocke due to a combination of its natural bulk, a very overpowered move, and the ability to remove its one weak point, allowing it to sweep through many of the main gyms in this game. For future runs, I'd probably ban this mon just because of how truly insane it is. We ended the run with 17 deaths in total, almost half of which being due to recklessness in the Elite 4 and Champion fight. If you enjoyed this video, you should check out this run on screen I did, where I attempted to make Pokemon X difficult. Be sure to like and comment to let me know what you think, and leave any suggestions for potential challenge runs down in the comments. Also, please subscribe if you haven't. It helps out the channel a lot. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!